everyone, and welcome to Pursue the Pool, the podcast that is geared towards helping people who are looking for a career change or for those who want to pursue their own dreams and set up their own business. Now, how do we differ from all of the other inspirational podcasts? Well, we interview people from a range of industries. So if you want to set up your own restaurant or marketing agency or floristry, whatever it might be, we have someone specifically from that industry to tell you where and how to start, the highs and the lows, and most importantly, the truth. So we are one group, one community, and we have all of the answers. Now, I am your host, Stacey Bevan, and today I have an amazing guest called Collena, who is a highly established, self-employed expert vocal coach. First of all, thank you for joining us, Collena. We really appreciate the insight that you're about to give us.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, we are so excited. I'm especially excited for this interview.
Me too.
Good. So before we go into the questions that have been devised by our audience, I just want to give a little bit of background into what it is that you actually do.
Yeah, amazing.
Cool. So you are an expert vocal coach and you are passionate about equipping and empowering singers with the tools and techniques to unlock their true potential and become self-diagnostic singers. You have over 18 years experience in the music industry as an artist, but also as a vocal coach. You understand the demands of the modern day performer and the essential role vocal training plays in developing and maintaining their voice. And you provide contemporary cutting edge vocal technique training and coaching sessions online also. You are also one of the vocal tutors at the Institute of Contemporary Music Performance in London. That's amazing. And you've helped many singers optimise the functionality of their voices, including, and now I'm going to try and get the names right, everybody. It's Brandon Flowers, who is in The Killers, Aisha Jawando, who plays Tina Turner in West End, Arrow Benjamin, who wrote the song and is singing on the song Running, Lose It All by Beyonce, Jungle Boy, who sings Flames, and that's with Zayn and Rehab. And then also Alyssa, who sings Hearts Ain't Gonna Lie and Jonas Blue. So your clientele list goes on and consists of major record label artists, Western performers and aspiring professionals. Now, before I go straight into the questions, like I say, I'm really excited because this is such a competitive industry and we have so many people that message us and say, can you just bring on someone who has any knowledge about this industry, like where to start? So I know our viewers have been asking for this as well. So before we begin, I'll just, if you don't mind, could you just go into your background? So like, what did you do before you actually started and went straight into this and went working for yourself as well? Was you working before and was this just a hobby? How did it all come about? How did you know this is what you were meant to do?
So basically, I was at a really crazy period in my life when I started vocal coaching. I started CM Vocal Coach. And I wasn't really doing much music at all, actually. I'd kind of given up on it a little bit in order to work. So I moved from Stockport, Manchester to Brighton. I studied music. And then from there, I moved to London in order to be in different girl groups. And I was in a girl group that had 9 girls in at one point. But anyway, I digress. But so what happened was I moved to London and I realized that London is just super expensive and I needed to be able to live. So I ended up working. I kind of got involved in corporate jobs. So I started working at Merrill Lynch, which is an investment bank. I was kind of like the back office cashier. And then I was a PA for a little while as well. And then, I just kind of decided from Merrill Lynch that I really wanted to begin working on music. So I wanted a bit more time to do that. So I looked for a part-time role and then I began to work on music in my part-time role. And then from there, that's how I kind of got started vocal coaching. And I got started because I was in church and I was part of this worship team that just had crazy amounts of singers on the team, and they were coming to me and they were asking me to help me. Anyone that was interested in auditioning, they'd come to me and they'd ask me to help them with their voices. And I didn't really have much experience as a vocal coach, just from being a singer, you know, so I helped them. And then from me helping these singers, something happened. Like, it's just like something it just dropped. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Wow.
Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, and I can't really explain it, but I always think about it now, because I'm kind of like, I think it's the helping. It's the actually helping people really try and pull out of them what's already in them. So I don't even know if it's necessarily the vocal coaching itself, but the fact that that's just a vehicle in which I use to serve and help others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That makes an awful lot of sense. And when you did the transition, did you kind of dive straight in, or did you have a plan beforehand? And did you have any money? Did you need any investment? Like, how did that fold, if you like? How did that work?
Yeah. So I guess I did make sure that I was working part-time. Like, there was no way I was thinking I could just dive into this. I wanted to build it up over time. So I had a part-time role in an architect firm as the office manager. I did that for about a year whilst I was building up my clientele. And in terms of investment, I didn't really need that much because it's a service.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like I needed some funding to be able to create any products. It's a service. So I just needed to find space to teach people and to coach people. And then I found that. So that's all I needed to get started, really.
Wow. And
yeah, with the initial coaching.
Yes, of course, of course. How did you actually go like to get your first client? Did you go direct? Was you approached? How did you get that first client?
So what happened was, when I was being approached by these singers in order to help them, eventually I was just like, I'm going to just start charging a small fee. So then I just started charging like a little bit, and then a little bit more. And then the more experience I got, I, decided to charge more. And then I did some training because I think just learning, coaching in itself and just doing that from being a singer, you need to learn about the voice, the anatomy, the physiology, the science behind singing. So as I began to learn more about that, I was investing in myself and my growth. Then I started to charge more,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that kind of brings me on to the inspiration aspect. Is there anyone that you followed, or, any YouTube videos that you watched just to kind of see how it all worked? Is there anything that you've done in terms of that? You said you've learned a bit, but is there anything else that you did from an inspiration point of view?
So I am always listening to different podcasts. I listen to lots of different podcasts. Like, I probably listen to about 20 podcasts a week. I read as well. So, and it's not only just in terms of like the singing side of things. Like, I just love learning about me becoming the best version of myself, because that really overflows into everything else. If I'm trying to live my life in an excellent way, then I'm going to be working in an excellent way. So I'm constantly listening to podcasts, reading books. So I listen to, like, probably you listen to the same podcast as me, Diary of a CEO, Impact Theory, like the books. My favorite book is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I love Robin Sharma, 5 a.m. Club. There's this amazing lady called Vanessa Fan Edwards that I really love. And she's got this book called Captivated, which is about succeeding with people. And it's an amazing book. I would highly recommend to read it. And then I'm just trying to think, gosh, there's so many. Oh, there's John Maxwell. John C. Maxwell. He's got this book called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And I love that book. It's amazing. I've probably read it a few times. Yeah. But just gives you the tools and the principles of life just to really, be your best, and how to really reflect on life and just be aware of yourself.
Yeah, it's so good that you're saying that you've kind of come outside of not just following people that are, relevant to your industry, but for your personal growth and everything as well. That's that's really good to say that to people, and that is what people should do. But how do you stay motivated? Because at the beginning, when you're going into something and you're trying to get clients, it's so difficult and there's a lot of fear involved. So how do you overcome that fear? How do you stop yourself and from quitting, basically? How did you do that? What was it for you?
So for me, I mean, we all have self-doubt and, sometimes from time to time. And I definitely I've been struggling with that and have struggled with it a lot in the past. We're all on a journey, right? But for me, I really have like a routine where I think it's my morning routine really helps me. So I wake up super early and I do a lot of, it's almost like priming myself. Tony Robbins talks about this. It's like priming yourself for the day. So I wake up super early. I meditate. I ask myself 3 questions. What am I thankful for today? I'm asking myself, what do I want to achieve for the day? And then I ask, how can I make a difference in my world today? I mean, I can wake up and feel a little bit like, like we all can do in the morning. But then once I've asked myself those questions, like everything it just brings life into perspective, and that like really, that just really keeps me motivated to be able to just carry on and doing what I'm doing. I think it's all about when you kind of know what you feel like you're called to do, and then you can just try, and we all have down days and whatever else, but try to really just enjoy life within that and just enjoy the process and the becoming better. And like that's what the progress is what really helps me, motivates me to keep going and then to keep getting better. But I think that you have to have like systems in place that are going to help keep you in the best place possible. So if you're going to be down, you have to think about, okay, what strategies do I have in place to help me kind of come back from that and keep me going?
Good. Exactly. Okay. So, how did you grow your business, and was there any kind of crisis early on that you had to overcome, and how did you do that? How did you grow your client base?
So with me, it was all about word of mouth. It was definitely more about word of mouth when it comes to growing the business. I think that the music industry is so small, really, and everybody kind of knows each other. So it was definitely more from word of mouth. And just being in environments where there's just a whole bunch of singers around and people were recommending me a lot. So that's pretty much, there was obviously some online as well. I mean, I did get one of the artists that I worked with that you named earlier. I got that through Instagram.
Wow, like how did that come about? They just contacted you directly, or?
Yeah, so they must have found me on Instagram and they were like, this person needs a vocal coach. They're on tour at the moment. Can you work with them? And I was already working with another artist that was on that label as well. So I thought that maybe they'd heard from me through the label, but it actually wasn't. It was through Instagram. And then, I think 2 days later, I was off. I was like, see ya, bye. Going to work with this person.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So cool. It just grew kind of, so it was purely recommendations. I mean, so from your first clients and starting like that, how did you make that leap into, or like you say, was it just mingling in the right circles and meeting the right people?
Yeah, definitely. Just being in the right circles, being around a lot of singers, and it literally just grew from there. To be honest. Yeah.
Okay. And so what would your advice be to people that, first of all, want to get into this industry, and then second, want to actually work for themselves? Like, you're doing an element of both. So what advice would you give to people that want to get in this industry, first of all, and then again, want to go self-employed and be, purely independent? What advice would you give?
Okay, so to get into the industry, I would probably say that as a singer or as a vocal coach, or
I'd probably go for both. So let's start with as a singer, because I've had a lot of questions about that first and foremost, and then as a vocal, because it's very different nowadays to what it used to be. So what would your advice be from a singer's point of view?
So it's definitely changed, especially from how it was back in my day. A lot of the time back in the day, they used to take an artist, a record label, and develop them into a product. But now you pretty much come as a product. So I would probably suggest really just putting yourself out there. Networking is just a super important part as well, because sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time. But
Yeah.
Within that, being prepared. So making sure that you are training, you're doing all your vocal training, you're spending time on your craft, really developing. And then if you're just in the right place at the right time, it's like preparation meets opportunity, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
But don't
definitely.
wait. Prepare, be preparing, be preparing. I'm always saying this, like when I'm working with like artists and, maybe nothing's happening at the moment for them, but I'm like, prepare. Be preparing, because the thing is that you just don't know whenever it blows, whenever you're told, right, you're touring with this person, be ready, build up the vocal stamina, build up the skills, make sure that you're ready, because if you're not ready, that's when things can happen with the voice. Sometimes, if there's vocal issues and someone hasn't really kind of like spent the time to develop their technique. So I'm just like, just always be preparing, be in the background.
Yeah, because you don't want to miss those opportunities, right?
No, you don't.
And assume that it's going to happen. So like that's really good advice. And in terms of like, how it has changed, there's a lot of social media now. It is a lot more competitive,
yes,
so that's why I asked the question earlier on about motivation, because everyone says in this industry, like, it's really difficult. There's a lot of amazing singers out there, but it's so competitive. So is there any advice you'd give from that point of view?
It's about like what separates everyone, what would separate you as an artist. So I think that coming across a lot of singers, it's the work ethic, the mindset, the believing in yourself, like what sets you apart. Because I'm just going to give you an example. So say that, for example, I'm working with a singer and they're like, I want to be this top recording artist. I really I want it all, I want to be well known. And then I'm like, okay, but what are you doing to make that happen? Oh, no, so I went out with my friends at the weekend. Oh, yeah, I'm watching this TV series at the moment. I'm like, but what are you doing? I'm like, did you ever watch that Beyonce, what's it called?
The documentary that she did. Yeah.
I'm like, this is what I say to everyone. I'm like, seriously, Beyonce, if I'm correct, like, I'm pretty sure she works for 3 months on the songs and then for 3 months on the choreo. I'm like, guys, Beyonce's been doing this for like decades.
She just had a baby as well, from what I can remember. I was like,
it's crazy, I know. But I'm like, but my point is like, if she is practicing that much, what is everybody else doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, sometimes it's like we're in this time where it's a microwave society. Everybody wants things quick. No one wants to go into the oven anymore. No one wants to do the work. They look at that and they're like, I want that, but they're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to count the cost. They're not willing to make the sacrifices. The sacrifice might be you're not going out at the weekend. You're in and you're working on your craft. You're working on your production. You're working on your voice. You're obsessed with this, you're working on it, so that's my thing. And I think sometimes I can be a little bit harsh with that when I'm working with singers and really getting that across, but I'm like, seriously, because I see so much potential in so many people that I work with, so I almost get a little bit frustrated with it, because I'm like, come on, like, what are we doing? There's so much in you, like,
wow.
It's
and it's
like,
that consistency as well, isn't it? Just being consistent with your craft.
It is, but it is what it is. It is what it is. What can we do? All we can do is love, support, and encourage and inspire. And then it's up to the person what they want to do with that,
Exactly. And then from the vocal coach side, what would you say for people that were interested in going down that route and how to start really from that point of view?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that actually being a singer does not make you, being a really good singer does not make you a really good vocal coach. There's it's really important that if someone wants to get started as a vocal coach and they are a singer, that they actually begin to learn about the anatomy, the physiology. They really understand, the larynx, the vocal cords, just all the muscles that are kind of involved, so that they can do a really good job of coaching the people that they're working with and not destroying voices along the way, because that's also happening. Sometimes I have to undo some work. I have to undo some work and building some good habits from what another vocal coach has done. But, maybe this, I don't know, maybe the training was a little bit different or whatever. Anyway, I'm not judging. I'm just saying that's the case. But yeah, like I would say that be part of a network of vocal coaches, so that you can stay accountable. Doesn't mean that you have to take on any particular method, because I'm not about taking on any particular method. I don't like to put myself into a box as a vocal coach. I like to take from different methods, but really just like try and just network with other vocal coaches. When you start doing training and webinars, you start to meet people anyway, know, and then just start, working with singers. Sometimes you just have to start and then you learn as you go as well. So it doesn't mean that you have to, be like, oh, I can't start until I've started to learn a little bit about it. It's like learn as you go. And then you experiment, because what's really exciting. Sometimes you do like webinars or you do like some training, and then you come in and you work with your client and you're like, ooh, I learned this, let's try it out, So yeah, but I would say pretty much that in terms of like getting started as a vocal coach and just doing the best that you can do, like being the best that you can. And then people talk.
So good. And I mean, lastly, because I could sit and talk to you all day, but
same. I love your energy.
Oh, yeah. So positive. But what advice, because people are in this position where they're working full time at the moment. There's a lot of people that want to go self-employed and want to work for themselves. What advice would you give those people that are kind of in a situation now where they're thinking about doing it and they're not sure about how or what to do to take that leap? And again, there's a lot of fear there. So what advice would you give to someone who said, look, I want to be self-employed, I want to work for myself, I've got this job, I don't know how to transition, I don't even know my passion. Like, what would you advise?
So, if they don't know their passion.
Well, that as well, yes.
Oh gosh, oh my goodness, this is a really big question. Like, where do I even start with this? So I would probably say, gosh, if someone's just in a full-time job and they like maybe not liking their job and they want to do something else.
They know they want to work for themselves, but they're not sure whether it's worth the risk, because it is quite a big risk, especially like for some people financially independent, dependent on that. But like, if someone said, look, or let's say they did know what they wanted to do and they said, look, I know what I want to do, like, but I'm just scared. Like, what advice would you give them, as opposed to, look, because working for yourself is very different to being employed. There's a lot of aspects to it. So what would you advise?
Yeah, so I would advise, so if they know what they want to do, to do the research, really like look into what it is that they want to do, whatever sphere it is, like look up competition, look up how much people are charging, look up if it's a product that you want to produce, like make sure that you do the research and that you understand exactly what it is that you want to do in terms of your business. I think it's important for someone to be passionate about it as well. So really having that passion, and that actually having the passion is what I forgot to even say this earlier. Passion will keep you motivated as well.
Yes.
So if you start a business that you're not really passionate about, you might be motivated for a little while. So passion is super important, to have that passion for what you're doing. And then I would probably say that there are some people that I know that have just jumped straight in. They've left their job and they've jumped straight in and they've done amazingly well. Yeah. And then there's some people where maybe it doesn't necessarily work out that way. So for me, I'm definitely about really taking risks, but I would probably like do it where I find a part-time job. And then I really begin to roll it out. But it might even be the case of like, if you're working full time, like you're pretty much going to be working a lot, because you're going to be doing all of your spare time is going to be researching. It's going to be really like getting it on the go whilst you're still working, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think I hope that helps.
I'm certain that it will. I'm really sure that it will. I mean, you have been incredible. I've loved talking about this with you, you know, like, thank you for being so vulnerable. And I know that a lot of people are going to be watching this and listening to this on the podcast and just being like, I think you've been, you know, you've given people a lot of inspiration as well, because you've been so positive about it. You've also been very real and very honest about the industry and how you have to be. So it's been incredible, and I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really great. Thank you so much, Stacey.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.